Hello there everyone, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Botox Games. Today we are talking more about a Switch 1 Nintendo Direct this month in February. Another week has just about come and gone, and there is no Nintendo Direct in sight. I personally was expecting it to happen this week. Usually, when you look at past Nintendo Direct patterns, will say they take place in about the second week or so of the month. However, I'm not giving up. I know a lot of people are very quick to give up on these things and like, oh, it's not happening. We have to wait until April 2nd for any Nintendo news. But to be honest, even though we didn't get one this week specifically, I'm still more confident than ever that we will be getting some sort of Switch 1 Nintendo Direct. Now, will that be a mini? Will that be a partner showcase? That's what I want to talk about more in today's video, as well as more smoke. I do think there has been a couple of things popping up here that still indicate that there is something coming. Maybe not even necessarily a Nintendo Direct, but at the very least, one major Nintendo announcement, or major with an asterisk, I guess. It's major to me. I love Kirby, but there is definitely smoke at the very least for a Kirby Planet Robobot remaster happening very soon. Let's talk about it. So yeah, Nintendo Direct February, Nintendo Direct. I talked about this a lot so far this month. I'm still convinced it's happening. If it doesn't happen, like, okay, whatever. They're still going to present the news in some way, shape, or form, be that through drops on Twitter, be that maybe in an early March Direct. I don't really think they would do that. They don't have much precedence for doing that, but also we are in unprecedented times for Nintendo with a new console on the horizon. But I wanted to talk about the new smoke that we have for this Nintendo Direct. I also wanted to talk a little bit about Puro at the end of the video, because I still see people saying that Puro lost his sources, and I think yesterday reaffirmed that that is absolutely not true. But starting off with the smoke, specifically for a Kirby Planet Robobot remaster. So a couple of days ago, it was announced that this Kirby Planet Robobot Armor and Kirby Nendoroid set would be getting a reprint, a reissue, basically. These were very expensive up until now. They came out, I want to say back in like 2016, 2017, around the launch of the original 3DS version. This is getting a re-release. I'm actually very excited for this. I don't really collect Nendoroids or figures that much, but this is a really high quality one. I really like the look of this. You can even take Kirby out of the mech. This is getting re-released by Good Smile for some reason, and that doesn't necessarily mean anything in of itself, but on top of that, we already knew about that. On top of that, though, they're also re-releasing this Kirby amiibo from the Kirby series, which, if you remember, came out in 2016 alongside the release of Kirby Planet Robobot, and this amiibo reprint is coming out on February 25th. Now, it is not a given, it is not a constant that an amiibo reprint coincides with the release of a game. I'm not suggesting necessarily that Kirby Planet Robobot is releasing on February 25th. I think that's a little bit too soon unless they shadow drop it, which I don't really know if they would do. But come on, man. The fact that we're getting this Robobot Nendoroid reprint on top of this Kirby series amiibo that literally released with Planet Robobot, these things are happening back to back. They're gearing up for Planet Robobots. We also saw, of course, I talked about this the other day, Nate the Hate reiterated and reconfirmed through his sources that Planet Robobot will find its way to Switch. It's just a matter of when, not if. So I feel like if you're a Planet Robobot denier at this point, I don't know what you're doing. These two things in particular, I mean, come on, man. Why is this getting reissued? Very excited for that. I know there's a lot of, I don't want to say fear in the Kirby community, but I know I'm personally at least a little bit skeptical of the scope of this remaster. Vanpool shut down after Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe came out. They were a massive support studio for HAL on the Kirby series. And obviously HAL worked on Return to Dreamland Deluxe, and I'm sure they would probably be handling Kirby Planet Robobot, but like, what if they aren't, though? What if this doesn't have a new content expansion? What if it doesn't have a Suzy prologue, that kind of thing? I am personally bracing myself for the worst when it comes to this game, which is just an upscale, kind of like they did for Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. But honestly, if you run Planet Robobot in an emulator at 4K 60, it actually already looks good. A lot of those textures and models like look solid enough already. But I really want new content in this remaster. I really want to see some sort of co-op mode added. I love playing through these games with my girlfriend. It's going to be a little sad playing Planet Robobot and she just has to watch, you know? So I really hope there's something else added. But if it's outsourced, probably not to Forever Entertainment. But if it's outsourced to somebody else, if HAL's not inherently like really involved with the developments of this remake or remaster, I'm just a little worried they won't go above and beyond like they did for Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, which is a fantastic remake. So we'll have to wait and see, but I do think Planet Robobot is happening very soon. The question is, will it be in a Nintendo Direct or will it just be announced on Twitter? We have seen Nintendo announce some games on Twitter, not that consistently. Obviously, last year they announced Xenoblade X on Twitter, they announced EMEO through YouTube and Twitter, as well as Nintendo World Championships. But before that, it really wasn't since COVID that they were really announcing real games on social media. Are they going to continue that moving forward into the Switch 2 era? Maybe. And Kirby Planet Robobot, of all those games I just listed, will sell the best. This will sell better than Xenoblade X, absolutely. As a Xenoblade fan, I gotta say, Kirby is gonna sell better than that. So this would probably be the highest profile thing they've announced on Twitter, not counting COVID, of course, with Origami King, and I think Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity was dropped one morning. But in terms of, like, the recent stuff, this would definitely be the highest profile in terms of sales that they just announced on Twitter. I guess I could see it, but we also had Jeff Grubb over here saying in the most recent episode of the last of the Nintendogs podcast, he was basically saying, I checked with my sources again, and he doubled down. He's like, yeah, there's a Nintendo Direct happening this month. He does say he thinks it will personally be maybe a Direct Mini, maybe a partner showcase. He's not expecting, like, the world out of this. I'm not sure if that's necessarily his sources telling him that, but he is saying that his sources, who also accurately leaked to him that there would be a state of play, he said his sources have now said twice that a Nintendo event is happening this month. And also, just so it's all laid out in this video, Brazil, the person who leaked the August Direct last year, the double showcase of the partner showcase as well as the indie world, he said, I'll keep looking into things, and in case I learn of anything that contradicts what I said previously, I'll be open with it as I've always been. So kind of just doubling down on being like, yeah, my sources said a Direct is happening this month, I still believe them. I do want to talk about that potential of a Nintendo Direct Mini before we talk about Puro. I've seen a lot of people saying, oh, it's going to be a mini, it's going to be a mini. I don't know if they would ever do a mini again. So if you have been following Nintendo for a while, they used to do these presentations called Nintendo Direct Mini. There were a couple in like 2013. There was a Nintendo Direct Micro in 2015. And then I don't think there was another mini until 2018 when they had that, Flaming Chibi Robo image. And then that mini Direct announced Mario Tennis Aces as well as Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition, Tropical Freeze for Switch. And then they also did another mini Direct, but that was during COVID in March of 2020. And since then, they haven't done a general Nintendo Direct Mini. They've had partner showcases, but even those, since 2022, have not been called a Nintendo Direct Mini. The first several Nintendo Direct partner showcases were called minis. But ever since last year, starting with the February partner showcase and then into the August partner showcase, they've dropped the mini branding. I just don't know if that branding really makes sense because, in my opinion, I feel like third parties, especially, would not want their game to be seen as mini. I get it, Nintendo's cute, the branding's very fun. I think optically, if you're gonna package a showcase of announcements, calling it a mini literally sets expectations lower, which is kind of a good thing. People won't expect the moon from it. But also, let's say you're Bandai Namco and you're announcing, I don't know, a new Dragon Ball game or something, or, something maybe even smaller than that. You wouldn't want your game to be in a mini presentation. That's smaller, I don't know. I just feel like considering they haven't used that branding in almost 3 years, I think they're done with that. I think they're done with shadow dropping directs as well. I think we will pretty much always get that 24 hours notice for a lot of these things. So I really don't think a mini direct makes sense next week. If anything, if we're really going to be like pessimistic, assuming there is one at all, right? The pessimistic answer is there's no direct at all. But I feel like pessimistically, like the lowest I want to settle on is maybe we get a partner showcase and they just throw Planet Robobot in there for no reason because they did Endless Ocean Luminous last year. Nintendo doesn't actually own HAL. HAL games have been in partner showcases before with Part-Time UFO. So maybe we just get a partner showcase heavy on the third-party stuff, the Japanese kind of smaller games, but then it ends on Planet Robobot or something. Maybe that's what happens here, but I don't know. There's also the mysterious case of Xenoblade Chronicles X, and in general, Nintendo's activity this week. I was expecting something this week, even if we didn't get a direct, I was like, oh, we'll probably get a Xenoblade trailer. We didn't get that. We didn't get the new Alarmo theme that we are definitely due for. I think it's the Animal Crossing theme, right? Because the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe one came out in December, 2 months removed from the release of Alarmo. Now we're 2 months removed from that. We are due for the next theme on that. The fact we didn't even get that, it's a quiet week. Not saying that Alarmo would be in the direct, but I'm just saying, like, I expected something to happen this week. Wario Land 4 is releasing tomorrow on NSO, but they announced it last week. The fact that we didn't get a Xenoblade trailer, honestly, that to me is further smoke, we'll say, for there being some type of presentation or showcase. I mean, I guess they could just have a Xenoblade trailer next week, right? That overview trailer. But they need to tell us what that new content is and actually explain it to us. They haven't done that yet. They've had 2 trailers for this game, and I was expecting the last trailer to really go in depth on what the new story content is, but it didn't do that. It kind of showed us some clips, but we don't know what it's called, right? Xenoblade Definitive Edition had Future Connected, which was it's like a standalone little game. It's not a full game. It's like 10 hours long or whatever, but it has its own title and logo. I would expect a similar thing for Xenoblade X's story content, and we don't even have that yet. So there's definitely more Xenoblade news to be had beyond even what I would say is just like an overview trailer. I think we need to get a new content trailer, but then also an overview trailer a little bit closer to release. Maybe they just skip the new content trailer and just go straight to overview. I'm not sure, but the fact that we didn't get that trailer this week, if anything, that actually strengthens my resolve when it comes to expecting a Nintendo Direct this month. Initially, I was expecting it this current week because I thought they would want to have a bit of a gap in between a Nintendo Direct and a Pokemon Presents, but last year, they actually didn't do that either. Last year, it was a little bit closer to the Pokemon Presents in that 3rd week time frame of February when we got that partner showcase. However, asterisk on that, I'm pretty sure that was because it literally was delayed. The partner showcase was actually delayed because of all the Xbox nonsense going on because it had Xbox games in it. But still, to be fair, they don't always have a gap in between these presentations, so we could see next week a Nintendo Direct or a partner showcase, whatever it is, some sort of Direct that has some first-party stuff in it, but then a week later, Pokemon Presents, which also, based on the TCG listings, I'm actually more convinced than ever that Legends EA is actually releasing this summer, probably in May or June. I know that's a quick turnaround, but if you look at the TCG releases for new games, like the set that is associated with that game, even if it's not a new like base set, like Scarlet and Violet, that's the base set. If you look at like the set that accompanies Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire or the set that accompanies Legends Arceus back in the day, normally these are released about 6 to 8 weeks after the release of the game, and there is a Mega Evolution theme set coming out this summer. I don't think that's a coincidence, so honestly, I'm expecting Legends EA to get a massive blowout in that Pokemon Presents, which is really exciting. But finally, for this video, I want to talk a little bit about Puro. I can't make a full video on this, right? I can't make a full video on Puro, but I see so many comments on my videos and posts on social media being like, Puro is wash, Puro has no sources, and to be fair, Puro was completely wrong about the June Direct last year. Nintendo got him. Like, they figured out however he was getting information last summer and blocked him from accessing that Nintendo Direct. He didn't leak Echoes of Wisdom. He didn't leak Brothership. He didn't leak Mario Party Jamboree. He said it was going to be a mid-Direct, and lo and behold, it was one of the best Directs of the Switch era. But ever since then, though, he's, like, honestly leaked basically everything he could leak. Nintendo's been, let's be honest, a little boring since then. They announced the Switch 2, but outside of that, he leaked Xenoblade X. He did tweet about Emio being a Famicom Detective Club game before we knew it was a Famicom Detective Club game, and he's leaked Sega stuff since then, and I think more than ever, him still being a legitimate leaker was reaffirmed in my mind yesterday during the State of Play, and the reason this ties to Nintendo is because the 2 games he leaked, specifically these 2 games, are Nintendo games. Now, I checked on the eShop. They don't currently have pages for the public to view, but one of the games is literally out tomorrow, and the other, I imagine, will go for pre-order soon. Yes, Nintendo blocked him from accessing the eShop backend in June 2024, but he teased Xenoblade X right before it was announced, and that game had an eShop page immediately. As soon as they announced it, it was up on the eShop, and he teased that. Now we have these 2 third-party games that are coming to Switch. He didn't leak anything else from the State of Play. He didn't leak the Pirate Yakuza demo that's coming to PS5. He didn't leak any of these other games. He leaked these 2 games that are going to be on Switch. So, in my opinion, I think it is clear that Puro still has eShop backend access to some degree, and is able to leak these things. So for those out of the loop, he did make a Blue Sky profile. At first, I wasn't sure if it was him, but now that, I mean, it's an accurate leak, I think it is him, and the way he's leaking stuff is still very similar. But he tweeted out this Yu-Gi-Oh card that said Abyss Warrior, and I was getting my hopes up. I was like, oh, could it be a new Warriors game, right? Omega Force was teasing something. I didn't think it was literally going to be a game called Warriors Abyss, right? There was no rumblings of that. This is the first person I had ever heard talk about it, and guess what? This game is out on the eShop tomorrow, meaning that even though there's not a page up right now, like I can't see one on the eShop, It's coming out tomorrow. I imagine that stuff is already pre-prepped and planned, and it's already all good to go on the back end, and he leaked it because I think he still has that access. And then similarly here, not as big of a deal because it's a game that we already knew about, but he leaked the title of the new Shinobi game. He just posted this Vengeance thing, but the new Shinobi game, we just knew it as Shinobi 2025 or whatever. Now it's called Shinobi Art of Vengeance, I want to say. It has Vengeance in the title. And out of every game in that state of play, he leaked the 2 that are coming to Switch. So in my opinion, I think it's very clear that Puro still has sources. And honestly, I don't know how I feel about that. I hope Nintendo doesn't put up any trailers or like any pages on the Switch 1 eShop about Switch 2. I don't want him to leak or spoil the Switch 2 events. And if there is a Direct next week, I mean, I would still say Puro is definitely one to look out for because, yes, he was wrong about the June Direct last year being mid, but he also didn't say anything wrong, right? Like, he didn't say, oh, there's going to be a new F-Zero game announced here. He just didn't say anything. He just thought it was going to be a lackluster Direct without many announcements because he didn't know about the announcements. But he's never outright said, oh, yes, we were getting this game, and then that did not happen within the very near future, with the exception, I think, of Pokemon Black and White Remix. But even he said, like, yeah, I don't know about this source. It's a different source from my usual. So, Puro, definitely one to keep an eye out for. And if we are to get a Nintendo Direct in the very near future, I would say give him a follow on old Blue Sky here. But also, if there's any other new information in the Pokemon Presents, he could also be leaking that. So keep an eye out on Puro's Blue Sky for sure. But that is going to do it for today's video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you think of the possibility of a Planet Robobot remake or remaster coming out very soon, potentially, as soon as February 25th? Probably not going to come out that soon, but we'll see. What do you think about what I said regarding a Nintendo Direct Mini? Do you think they will keep that branding, or do you think they're kind of done with it? I think it is not a great look, to be honest. And then also, what do you think of Puro? I know some people definitely don't want to believe him, but man, his track record is essentially flawless, and he's still leaking stuff from the Switch eShop. I don't know what to tell you, man. But yeah, until next time, folks, thank you so much for watching. Of course, subscribe here for more Nintendo Switch coverage, reviews, discussions, all that fun stuff. Go check out It's Amiibo. I actually posted a review of that Warriors Abyss game. Koei Tecmo sent me a code. Very fun game. It's a Dynasty Warriors Hades crossover kind of clone game. Not crossover. There's not Hades content in it, but it's a Dynasty Warriors Hades clone roguelike, which is a lot of fun. So definitely check out my review of that. And until next time, folks, peace.